Hey guys, Zom Fox here, and today's time to do the second division standings predictions in the NFC West for the 2023 season. The NFC West last year was a jumbled mess. You had teams that overperformed, underperformed, and then you had the Niners, which were the only team that actually did what they were supposed to. That's proof in their standings. The Niners ended up going 13-4, winning the division. They won their last 10 games. It was a very insane season after a slow start thanks to Trey Lance. But they ended up being 13-4. They would get bounced in the divisional round, but the Brock Purdy hype train did get on full commence, so they ended up making it as far as they did. And then the Seattle Seahawks, they were the shock team. No one really thought they were going to be that good, but Geno Smith still has yet to write back, and his Pro Bowl campaign helped lead the team to a 9-8 record, which major assists to the Lions ended up making the playoffs, the Seahawks. They would get bounced quite promptly, but they still did make it. Then we have the Los Angeles Rams. What a team. They were basically just injured to hell and back from day one. Aaron Donald, Cooper Kupp, Matt Stafford all had significant injuries. Allen Robinson was a humongous flop of a signing. And then you look at the Cardinals, they were just terrible. Even before Kyler Murray got hurt, they really weren't that good, and they were just absolutely horrid when he did get hurt. So let's just start off with looking at the San Francisco 49ers. So the Niners last year were mainly ran by Jimmy G. Now, as I talked about before, Jimmy G is, for whatever reason, like the most hated quarterback in the league for being a good quarterback. And the proof is the fact that he really was the best quarterback when he was playing, all things considered. Even though Purdy did have a better, TD per game ratio, when you look at it, all the stats, most of them really show Jimmy G as the better QB. At most of them, not all of them, because, Purdy did lead in some very key ones like pass rating and quarterback rating. But suffice to say, they were both far better than Trey Lance, who, as we know now, is absolutely terrible. The league offense was 5th in yards, 6th in points, and they were number 1 in total defense. Now, in terms of what they lose in game, they do lose D'Amico Ryans, who's one of the best DCs in football, but they get one of the best DCs in football in Steve Wilks, so kind of a moot point. They also lost guys like Jimmy Ward, Jimmy G, Samson Ebukam, Mike McGlinchey, and then a few other lower tier guys that were still solid losses. They added Javon Hargrave, which is a great add. Clelin Ferrell could be. Sam Darnold has already proven to be better than Trey Lance. And then a few other guys, including 2 kickers, where hopefully for them they have a good system. I know Jake Moody had some issues in preseason, but it's preseason. I really don't care about preseason that much. So yeah. Overall, with a look at the Niners, they're basically the same team they were last year, minus Jimmy G. And I personally think by the end of the year, they're going to be in the playoffs thanks to Sam Darnold. I am not on the Brock Purdy hype train. I think during the season, at some point, they'll see that Darnold is the guy, and he will be the quarterback of them, and then they'll have a new starting quarterback next year. That's just my thoughts. I think they're going to be a very solid team. I think they probably end up winning the division. So the next team to look at is the Seahawks. The Seahawks were the shock team. Geno Smith ended up being a Pro Bowler. He had 4,200 yards, nearly 4,300 passing. He had over a 100 passer rating. He had above a 60 QBR. And he helped lead the team to a top 10 points offense and top 15 in yards. Their defense was actually pretty disappointing. And in terms of the defense, they lose guys like Shelby Harris, which really hurts, and they lose Poona Ford. But other losses of like Ryan Neal, Cody Barton, and Quentin Jefferson aren't huge losses. They ended up getting guys like Derek Hall, Devon Witherspoon, Dramont Jones, Jaron Reed, Devin Bush, and Bobby Wagner back. So I think that overall the defense should be upgraded. Offensively, you lose Rashad Penny and Travis Homer, but they've been very hit or miss as running backs. Marquise Goodwin doesn't matter because you got Jackson Smith and Jigba, who hopefully should be healthy, and then Zach Carbonneau is a running back. They're going to be fine. They're going to be a really solid team this year. The Rams. Yikes. So their quad quarterback group all played basically trash. Matt Stafford ended up being the best at passer rating, but really they were all pretty bad last year. They were the worst offense in yards, and they were barely a top 20-ish defense. You lose Liam Cohen as your OC, but you get Mike LaFleur. That's kind of an upgrade. Maybe. Mike LaFleur, the LaFleur brothers I've never been a big fan of. Now your losses include Jalen Ramsey and Leonard Floyd, which are both huge losses. A-Rob is more of a loss in the name than it really is. He was a huge disappointment here. Baker Mayfield, who cares? Bobby Wagner, that one's another big loss. And A'Shawn Robinson and Matt Gay are also pretty big losses. And you really didn't gain that much. Hunter Long is like your biggest free agent addition. That's not good. John Johnson, Akila Witherspoon, Royce Freeman, Steve Avila, and then Stetson Bennett are the other guys you got through the draft and anything. Yikes. Yeah, the Rams are not going to be great this year. Even though, yes, Cooper Kupp, Aaron Donald, those guys are going to be healthy, I don't see this team competing for a Super Bowl. I don't see them competing for the division. And then we have the Cardinals. And yes, Colt McCoy is the picture because he is going to be the starting quarterback, if I'm not mistaken, which is insane. So, what ended up happening to this team? They ended up being a borderline top 20 offense and defense in yards. They were terrible in points and defense, though. They lose their head coach and their DC and Cliff Kingsbury and Vance Joseph, but they gain Jonathan Gannon as head coach. I don't think that's going to be a good head coach. They gain Nick Rallis and Drew Petzing and have an actual OC instead of just having Kingsbury do it. I'm not a huge fan of Gannon. I don't get the idea of getting the guy that had like the most talented defense. And yes, to be fair, he'd made them good, but I think that when you compare him to other DCs in the league, like Leslie Frazier, Steve Wilkes, D'Amico Ryans, I think they're all better than him. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of it. But what did the team do? The team lost DeAndre Hopkins for nothing. They lose Robbie Anderson, Robbie Chosen, whatever he's going by at this point. He's literally changed it like 4 times. I think he's even changed it since I wrote this video. J.J. Watt, due to retirement, Byron Murphy, Zach Allen, and Andy Lee. They gained Kazir White, Zach Pascal, Paris Johnson Jr., and B.J. Ojolari. Yeah, they're going to suck. Okay. So my predictions is a shocking one. I have the Seahawks winning the division. I know I said the Niners probably do win it, but I'm going to go with the Seahawks. I just feel like the Niners are going to have some sort of skid where they realize Purdy isn't that guy. And it's going to be like a few games in the middle of the year. It's going to end up being the reason Seahawks take it. I think the Seahawks are the only team that talent-wise legitimately upgraded. I don't think any of these other teams upgraded. They either stayed the same or they got worse. Seahawks got better. That's going to lead them to winning the division. Then the Niners finished second because, like I said, they're going to compete for it. The Rams finished third. They're going to be better than last year, but they're not going to make the playoffs. I don't even have them being a wild card, not even in the NFC. And then the Cardinals are, let's be real, if they finish above any team in the NFL, people will be shocked. That's how bad they're going to be. So that's my predictions for the 2023 NFC West Division. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. If you enjoy this content, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell. And like the video, it helps out a lot. I'm getting close to 300 subscribers. And as always, have a great night.